Thank you very much, Zoe. Yeah, I mean, again, we're going to be watching this. Now, some people who like to watch car crashes in slow motion might watch this as well. It really depends what you're kind of into. I think the reality is here, though, Matt, the Paris Eternal have to show us some signs of life before the Kickoff Clash qualifiers are over.
Right. Anything at this point, right? They've won 2 maps throughout the Kickoff Clash thus far. To give you some kind of like perspective on that, like the Titans won 4. So, I don't think you're going to get a medal for, like, matching the Titans in terms of, like, maps won. But still, you need to put up a good performance here against Houston. But you're going up against a team that they're up near the upper echelon of the West. And they're not going to take this match lightly.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I really liked about the Paris Eternal last week is that I thought they put together like a really nice looking Zenyatta composition on Circuit Royale, right? Khan was able to really showcase his ability on that map. Obviously, a weird comp. We rarely ever see it. Naturally, Khan was able to rocket himself up to the top of the Zen standings for this season as a result of that. The fact is, the frustrating part about this team, Matt, is the talent is absolutely there. Obviously, Darn and Vistola are the 2 elements that we see rotating quite a lot. Darn has been really impressive, to be honest, and Vistola's had some tough matchups in the Zarya mirror.
So, what London's done, I like, is that they've committed to this Reinhardt playstyle. This is how we're going to play, right? They have Poco on that team. They could have tried the Zarya stuff. They said, like, this is what we're going to commit to. This is what we're going to play. Yeah. Paris, like, needed to do that weeks ago, I feel like. They've been going, like, because I think Dons look good when they've had, some Winston-based stuff with Vistola in. You think this is probably going to be something more, maybe Zarya, Doomfist, and that kind of wheelhouse where... you're switching around the tanks and what you're kind of playing in that regard. You're also bringing in new players like Wub into the mix, right? It's difficult to have build any type of consistency with these types of changes.
Or Sedlon, the style they wanted to play, right? As you contrast them to the London Spitfire, who had that sort of stable roster that they could sort of decide by consensus how they wanted to play. The Paris Eternal are like a week behind of that because of Wub coming in a little bit later. Let's have a look at their opposition, though. The Houston Outlaws, Matthew. Now, there's no clinching scenarios in this particular matchup, but for Houston, it's pretty darn important to have a good game here because they want to get into the top 3. They're 3-2 right now. If they go 4-2, there's a good chance they can leapfrog the Toronto to fight into the top 3 and choose their opponent in the first round of the Kickoff Clash. That is going to be a gigantic boon to whoever can reach out and take it. This team, listen, I mean, they had some tough matchups, I think, and, they've been a little bit up and down here. I've got to say, though, despite that, Matt, it's been merit for me all the way so far. That has been their rock, their consistent output of impact.
It's been the best Outlaws roster I think they've ever kind of fielded in the Overwatch League. Piggy in the starting role today for Tank, so that's something to look out for. We've usually seen Dante in most of the time, outside of when we see whether it's like, probably Doomfist from Dante in the Houston Outlaws. I also believe the Outlaws have started like a series where they do like interviews like after their games, and I believe they asked Pelican about Paris, and he garnered a response that kind of mirrored what he just did on the screen there. It was like I believe he said he'd rather play, or like it's kind of like ranked to him. So maybe that's some type of trash talk that Paris can use as fuel, maybe.
Sounds like that parody journalism account of the name that I can't pronounce, like the kind of posts they sort of make with, non-factual statements from players, except it actually happened. Pelican already laying the disrespect down.
No, this is a funny video the Outlaws produced because Jake was trying to cover for Pelican. Bishu was trying to cover and said that Pelican said scrims, but then Jake was laughing hysterically, and he's like, no, he said ranked.
That is amazing. I trust Bishu to try and cover that up. Such a kind-hearted soul. Oh dear. No, Houston don't want to blunt their edge, Matthew, both in and out of the server. Here, they're looking for a pretty one-sided victory. Get them into the top 3, get them into a good spot to sail through the first round when boots touch the ground in Texas. First map, ladies and gentlemen, here's going to be Colosseo, and out the door we go as Houston look to try and put the Eternal in the mulcher.
It'll be both teams running the same exact comps with the Reaper Soldier and Zarya at the front line. I think this first fight, just like in a lot of different game modes in Overwatch 2, but especially push, right? We've only had 2 push maps in the entire Kickoff Clash thus far go the distance. They both happen on the same day. So
we had one in APAC as well, actually.
Yeah, okay, so 3.
Yeah.
Still, regardless of how much push has been played, if you get a good start and move the bot to a not even a very far portion, right? It results in more of these fights taking place in the neutral, in which you'd have to lose like 2 fights, almost 3 fights in a row for the other team to take the lead. So this first fight is huge, and Paris is going to use a speed boost, go fast.
I mean, they understand how to play the neutral here. They understand how to play this setup. They forced Piggy to exhaust both of his bubbles. Yes, Piggy is high charge, but he has no defensive utility available. And Paris, they just turn up the heat, speed in, and get rid of him.
Yeah, and it was also a biotic grenade that comes in from Khan that helps them finish off a few players. So that ever-important first fight will be the Paris Eternal who come out on top. Is they got to keep Pistola alive. Pistola has a lot of charge right now. He's going to be huge damage dealer coming into this next fight.
A lot of damage being taken right now by Paris just from this high ground vantage. Straight into the back line went Pelican, no, on the Reaper, TPing forward. Nanoboost given over to Glister here with a tactical visor, but it's put to a stop. Abruptly, he's waking up, and immediately he's back to work. 2 for Glister in the tactical visor, as Wob finds 2 of his own.
It's huge kills there. Waking up Glister, obviously not ideal. I think it may have been like a right click from Piggy. And he may have fired it off like even before Glister was asleep. Like you kind of saw Glister going into the animation, and then the right click was already coming in. So no opportunity obviously to take that one back. As the Outlaws, you're looking at probably investing like the grab into this fight, as you absolutely need to win.
They have to use the grab just to get back on even footing, which is the craziest part of this. And even then it might not be enough. Pelican takes a ton of damage as he tried to follow up on the Eternal inside that grab. Paris reciprocate. Both teams use the sound barriers to respond to those Zarya ultimates. And as the overshield's clear, it is the Outlaws with the initiative.
Yeah, they'll get rid of Vestal and they'll start to move the bot in their direction. But like I mentioned earlier, this is enough percentage for the next fight for the Paris Eternal to take this near the middle of the map. And they're great in those neutral scenarios, like you mentioned. So Paris getting off to an ideal start.
Multiple fights now need to be won in a row for the Houston Outlaws to put them on even footing. That 59.68, that's considerable progress early here. Pelican will wait in the wings, of course. The upside for the Outlaws is that they maintain their DPS ultimates after winning a fight in which many of those impactful abilities had to be used. Keep an eye on that Reaper positioning.
The Outlaws don't want to push the bot around that corner right at the start here, because then the Paris Eternal could fight from that high ground and have that advantage where they're trying to just bait them in to take this fight where they're not going to have that line of sight from that high ground.
I mean, the timing's great there. Pelican sees Vistola's low and has no bubbles left, so in we go with the Death Blossom, and Piggy is there to clean up. I mean, Matt, Paris got put in such a scary spot there because Pelican got a Zarya bubble and TP'd forward, forces the Eternal to play outside of this sort of ring area, and that's where the attack visor mirror was waiting for them. So that's why Paris took so much damage early, and that fight was so easy to clean up after.
You still see how much this early push for Paris is going to matter. Like, the Outlaws are going to take another fight here and not have enough, not even have enough distance to take the lead. You see they back up again. They don't want to fight near this high ground as Glister is set up on top.
Yeah, they're looking for an advantageous position, the Outlaws. Or at least not a disadvantageous one. Glister with attack visor, though positioning may not matter when you're facing down this combo of ultimates, and Glister's able to find 2 quick ones here. Graviton surge from Piggy, but the follow-up is, well, lucky until then. Piggy's able to get in the fight with decent amount of charge, but Bob can walk straight on into this grab here and just deal his own brand of death.
Pushing the bot even further into Outlaws territory. Just make it even harder for them to get it going the other way. So Wub's still holding on to this Death Blossom. Had it for a pretty long time now, trying to find, I guess, just the absolute perfect time to use it. Paris, they don't care about this high ground. They'll actually just keep pushing this bot straight on through.
Pistola has average energy 54, Piggy 37 right now. Yeah, I mean, he gets picked out there. Oh, I don't think Pelican's in a great spot either. This is very bad for the Outlaws here. This may well mean a front spawn now for Paris.
Lastro was like behind enemy lines. I think he may have been like trying to hide for a sec. And he ends up getting called out, but that's huge because he has the beat, right? You could have ended up using the beat in this fight to stop any further progress, where Paris gains a little bit more distance.
Nice disengage from Paris. That's actually huge. They're going to get themselves in position to fight in, again, the neutral part of the map here, which doesn't favor the Outlaws. The Outlaws have to push off that high ground that they'd love to play from here and go for the neutral. Here it is. Sound barrier. Lastro trying to send them forward with the Death Blossom. What's going to get in their way? It's a spanner in the works. It's some bullets in the head for Piggy. He drops and Vistola's charged up, ready to be the second wave.
With 2 minutes on the clock, this is not looking good for the Outlaws, because you're going to get even more progress here for the Paris Eternal. And what, you're going to have to use some of these ultimates to battle out of this position. If you're Houston, it's not going to give you a ton to work with for the rest of the game, especially when you have to probably win another 2 fights. 3, probably.
Anything but subtle is Pelican. Trying to start something up, gives plenty of charge over, tries the Death Blossom, but Khan's there to shut him down, and here's the tactical visor from Glister. The grab is a little wayward, sure, from Vistola, but still enough to slow the Outlaws down. Now he's well charged, and Piggy's just hanging on to life. Merit not far behind, and the Eternal are starting to turn this into an avalanche.
And the Outlaws end up investing the Death Blossom there. They end up using their Nano. All they have is this grab, and you're going to have a sound barrier to counter it, so we'll see if they actually go for it. Paris in an interesting position where they could actually finish this if they wanted to, but they back all the way out. The safer play is not to kind of push all the way into the spawn, expel ultimates there. They'll actually just take this fight from the choke.
They're not incentivized to fight there at all. They still want to try and push the bot further, and they will if they win here.
With how much of a distance advantage they have currently, there's no reason to risk completing the map, right? You'd rather just take the 2-3 fights in this area, and look, they have to walk into them. They're draining the clock, and we're now in the middle of the map. Like, this is all good for Paris.
Piggy's grab, he just fires that one off. He knows that one was there, waiting in the wings. It's going to be a sound barrier now from Dredro, and Piggy was looking for an opening in the backline, but none presents itself. Vistola's hit with a nano boost here. Dredro, trying to send his team forward. Merit's there with the attack visor. One forced away. Waveform. Unclear if that's available. He has to use it just to stall. And the Outlaws now have to win out from here, Matt. That's a long way they have to push.
And they're not going to have their tank. Piggy ends up dropping in that fight, so he's going to take a little bit longer to get back. Lastro may actually be escorting him right now that we don't see on the screen. And Paris, they know this. They may be able to jump down, take this fight a little bit earlier on, as they went back, tried to get Piggy back in the fight.
Okay, the Outlaws come to contest. They need to play under the bridge. They got no choice now. They don't have the luxury of backing off and playing for more clement terrain. Oh, Vistola gets run over. Sound barrier now for the Outlaws. They know they need to do more than just get rid of the Zarya. To the high ground goes Piggy. A Sleep Dark called Glister, but those nimble legs are going to carry him from the fight. He'll be topped up by Khan. And the Outlaws
committed so hard, Paris, there to try and kill Merit. He was off to the side putting down damage on the soldier, and they sped boost like 3 people in there to try and take him out. They don't even kill him. And then they end up using the sound barrier, turning around and fighting out of it. Is going to be a huge blunder by Paris.
Nano boost for Piggy, looking for Glister, trying to burn him down before he can lay waste to the Outlaws, and Piggy gets rid of him. Khan gonna fall down to the Death Blossom, and Vistola's able to chime in, at least get rid of Virus. It's just the healing for Lastro, and it looks like that's gonna be enough, because he has the damage to back it up, and the Outlaws have to do it one more time.
So you're gonna have Glister switching over to the Tracer, Khan now with the nano boost. Can you get like a nano boost on the Wub and let him go crazy on the Reaper, maybe get a Death Blossom, be the difference?
Nano boost here for Khan is going to be instrumental. One TP's in, but Glister's down. He's fallen to a Helix rocket. One trying to do what he can on the backline, but his Wraith Walk's already forced. Then Body Grenade on towards Pelican forces him out of the fight, and Wub's going to be there with the Death Blossom to claim Piggy. Merit, can't get away from that one, and a sound barrier will seal the deal for Paris, narrowly averting a bit of a reverse sweep inside the map itself. Whew. They wipe the sweat from their brow because they've got there, but only just.
A win's a win, I guess. But man, that got too dangerous there towards the end. But Wub getting that nano boost from Khan. Khan also hits a big biotic grenade that lands onto Piggy and I believe Pelican at that time. Yeah. So to lose those 2 players is huge. You know, the anti-heal plus the damage from the Reaper who has the nano boost. You get those 2 kills, and Paris able to hold on.
You can see how hard it is to come back from a deficit on this map, but it's possible. Even without ultimates, the first pick means so much more in Overwatch 2, and the Outlaws tried to leverage it. Fortunately, they pull up just short, so some frustration, fire in the belly as we head into map 2 after this. Well, some sharp looks being thrown out by the Paris Eternal and a few curveballs on Colosseo as they get a good start against the Outlaws. Almost let it slip, but they still stick the landing.
Yeah, and Vistola with the Zarya composition here looked pretty good for the Paris Eternal. I think the last time we saw it was like Wub's first game, and it was not pretty. Since anything, they've looked pretty decent with Don in as the main
Didn't they
team,
get cleared on New Queen Street in that game?
It was not great.
Yes.
I don't know if they got cleared, but I remember not being fantastic. No subs, though. So no Dante in for the Outlaws. Maybe getting a break today, who knows? Or maybe just kind of working on some of the Zarya stuff when Piggy gets some more game time. As Route 66 will be the next map in the set.
We're playing to the map, without a doubt. Paris have shown us a Zarya look on this particular map, and it'll be no surprise to see Houston opt for that one as well. We've seen teams, mess with the Genji here as well, trying to sort of make it like a Genji Reaper-based dive, a la Dallas Fuel at times. We know that Pelican can play the Genji, maybe prefers not to, so might not be the best permutation for them, but no surprise here. Zarya obviously with the Reaper and the Soldier 76 for Paris on the defense.
It looks like the Outlaws currently, right now, hovering over this to match on offense. So, teams going towards this match because Reaper, man, although a DPS has a pretty sizable HP pool with lifesteal and the ability to basically just a movement ability that avoids all damage and can get out, right? Kind of plays like a secondary tank in some aspects, right? Kind of operates at the same space and territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Peek out from Merit here. Pistola playing somewhat closer than you maybe expect from some teams here. Paris want to see if they can maybe shave some valuable seconds off the clock, but Pistola is under siege, and the Outlaws converge upon him like Carrion Crow. Pelican with 2 here, and
like
they're on the move. Carrion Crow. Yeah, you know Carrion Crow? They're birds that feast off dead things.
Oh. Yeah. I thought you were talking about some weird show you were watching.
A rapper?
Yeah.
No.
Carrion the Crows. I don't know.
Carrion Crow? Actually, not terrible.
Yeah,
terrible
like
artist name, to be honest. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't my typical obscure reference this time.
Yeah, I'm so used to like, and I'm sure the fans at home are used to references from you that they just don't get. So
yeah, you just need to watch anime. That's really all you have to do. Watch anime. You unlock about 80% of them. Merit. Okay. Oh, he sees a pool right in front of him. Yeah. trying to pay him a visit. Yeah. Bang
the Reaper appears. He just screams, teleporting, and just gets right in his face.
Yeah, you're going into the shadows for a stealthy approach.
Yep. Mary never saw it coming.
Khan, none of his deployed for Pistola, who is well and truly charged. Wants to play back a little bit here, though. Doesn't exactly maybe know how charged Piggy is, but he just smashes Iris. He's punished for it, over Piggy and Pelican are very low, and Glister has an excellent angle for that. He flanks wide midway through the fight, and he'll be good here.
Pops the visor here.
I read
just making sure.
Yeah, that's an S word.
He doesn't seem too pleased with himself that he popped the visor, but we've seen from Paris. When they were able to live like in the neutral, and we've cast them a few times now, Glister goes in these wide, like long flanks and gets these like off angles, but some of the times when we've casted them, like he's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere because they're not able to keep the rest of the team alive. 2 players here with a biotic grenade here for Paris. Maybe go time for Houston, but
yeah, Iris wants to give Piggy a nano, I think. Push to the back line. Oh, definitely dodges to sleep, but well, while Piggy goes deep, the rest of his team gets vaporized.
Really nice bubbles there from Pistola, able to keep Khan alive. Khan ends up trying to use his sleep. Piggy times it well with a bubble. Doesn't get hit by it, but through the grab, able to keep Khan alive. So Paris really clicking today. I mean, playing this comp very, very well.
Yeah, we sort of mentioned a bit of the story was like Paris were maybe a little late on sort of developing the composition that they would be going forward with, right, and trying to force in as many maps as possible. I think that the maps play really well for this Zarya-based comp, so that's been fortunate for Paris, but they look like they're really locked in. Yes, it comes after being 0-5, but there's a whole damn season to play.
Yeah. Nano Pistola here.
He is, oh my. Nice combo, it's going to be a death blossom here from Pelican. Pistola lives in the eye of the storm there. Eventually going to be taken down by Lastro. Wop has some dance moves of his own, but again, it's the very aggressive Lastro featuring in that kill feed. That's 2 for him. Wub wants to try and tentatively hold the card up if he can while Glister gets in position. He's buying time for this Soldier flank, and oh, it might work out. Astro is low. Big sling.
Khan with like 1 HP ends up getting the sleep on a Pelican on the high ground, and Wub's going to finish him off. Glister on a flank. The Visor, he finishes off Merit as what looked like it could have been a really good push for the Outlaws, taking that first point. Khan, Wub, and Glister come up huge for Paris.
This is not a drill, ladies and gentlemen. The Outlaws are at risk of dropping the spaghetti right in front of Big Earls. 4 seconds left in the round. Pistola's going to have a Graviton Surge as well. Wub, maybe not expecting Pelican to have pushed as fast as he did, but here he comes anyway. 2 bubbles have to be used on Pistola himself. He stays alive though, crucially. Sound Barrier comes out from Lastro here to try and keep the Outlaws alive, but the Sound Barrier timing is good. It keeps Pistola on his feet at 100 charge, and now he's raring to go. Lastro's a little bit low here. Iris getting close to a nano boost, and Glister starts the fight off perfectly. Getting rid of Merit is so crucial, but is it going to be enough? Lastro 1 HP. Wub going to get lasered down by Piggy if he's not careful, and Glister in a flanking position, sure, but on his own. The Outlaws have managed to break through.
The nano boost there from Iris at the end was huge. Ended up keeping Piggy alive. You see Pistola calling out, didn't have a bubble at that time. The grab comes through. The damage follows. Not pretty from the Outlaws. Good defense here from Paris. So just a second longer, you're able to keep Pistola up. That nano comes in from Khan, and who knows what happens, but Paris still in a good position here on defense.
I mean, they shaved some serious seconds in that first phase of the map. The pressure is on the Outlaws now. Defensive body grenade for Khan there to make sure Pistola's good to go, and it'll be sent careening into the Outlaws. Punches a hole through the side of him, their main tank is down. Without that durability, they're headed back home.
Yeah, not sure if that was meant for Pistola or for Wub. They were both kind of walking directly in front of each other, and Khan looked to be targeting Wub there for a second, right before it went over to Pistola, but you'll have a Death Blossom here. That's a big fight win as well for Paris, because then you can start controlling this choke, right? Make it even harder. Not a ton of movement abilities from the Outlaws to get up to this high ground, close the gap, not playing a shield tank, so Outlaws going to have to get creative with taking some of these off angles.
All right, Khan and Glister pretty safe here on the high ground, as that left side high ground for Houston's been denied thus far. Death Blossom, that's Wub, goes deep, finds Lastro. Piggy also has to back away, uses 1 bubble, but he doesn't have enough to hang on there, and the Eternal just boxes his ears.
See just how difficult that choke is to get through without a shield tank, where you take that first fight up close. Now it's going to probably force the Houston Outlaws, even if you're going to be in the last fight territory, probably would have forced them to expel some ultimates rather early that they wouldn't have liked to. But Paris Eternal going to come back into this. They'll have a grab of their own to use. You'll end up getting a sound barrier here, so in a pretty good spot with that high ground from Glister in the back. You see, just able to pump out so much damage, and just 2 shields to deal with it. That's a TP up top. Okay, so they're able to take out Glister.
When the flanker gets flanked. Oh, Piggy, sorry, that's not ideal. Empty your inventory, go back to Lumbridge, son. Fortunately, the Outlaws are able to get it done, especially with Merit in this flanking position, but that was a little scary. Paris find 2 quick kills there.
Yeah. Did they not hear Pelican, though? Because, like, he TP'd right above.
He TP'd, but I think at the same time the voice line from the Soldier came in. Also, maybe the directional audio wasn't at peak for them. We saw it. They obviously did. Yeah. They're probably looking towards a Soldier, though, that makes a very audible sound when he, pops his cheats. Yes, Nano, confirm. I recommend it to everybody. Pelican then confirms 3. This puts the Outlaws in a position to drag themselves into the last phase of the map here. As Wub will fall.
No defense for that. As the Outlaws come up clutch, they'll take that second checkpoint, as Paris didn't want to invest some of these ultimates in, but if you're Houston, this is anything you kind of get after this, you're feeling okay with, right? You easily could have been held there on that first point. It got really tough here through that second checkpoint. Yeah, and so anything you get after this, you're looking like this is a map that you can actually bring back now.
Yeah, house money. Here's that Graviton Surge, a sound barrier naturally from the Outlaws, but not much you can do about that. Khan lines up a rather impactful biotic grenade. Mirror has no choice but to succumb, and the Eternal will have a chance here to get some proper defensive entrenchment going.
They can set up on the high ground yet again while getting close to a Death Blossom, so you can play around those same type of scenarios. So you got an end of Vistola as they toss everything at him there inside of the grab.
Oh, he's chirping. He says, we got to go forward here. Try and punish them for overextending, but the Outlaws realize their folly.
I thought he said it's a Morbin time. That's what I thought his lips said.
Sorry. Yeah, my lip reading might need some work.
Yeah.
Vistola, I hate you. You give me stick for like pandering with memes, and then you go and pop the Morbin time. Oh my god. We're supposed to be better than this.
Some weird visors from Glister that ends up using there, I guess, buy some space, but this will be a nano visor here as Merit is just looking for anybody. Any type of kill here is good. Gonna get Wub in the middle of the TP. So Outlaws will keep the cart moving for now. So this is gonna be bad for Paris, dude. You've ended up using all these ultimates and you still end up like losing the fight in that type of situation, right? If Glister maybe you hold on to that attack visor a little bit longer, they push into space, right? They have to play on cart. Maybe you could use it.
Well, Wub's forced to Wraith Walk here a little awkwardly, so Bubble and Death Blossom seems to be the order of the day. Yes! I mean, anything but rocket sides, but potentially more effective on a budget, that's for sure. Nicely done for Paris. On one ultimate, they get it done.
It's a pretty good offense from the Outlaws. It starts off really bad, you know, gets a little bit better towards the second stage of the map. You know, with the way things were going, you did not expect them to get this close to completing the map, but they kind of pull it back towards the end where Paris, a large hill to climb now. Can it match this? We'll see how they get off to the start.
Yeah, look, I think that it seems good for Houston, I think, because our expectations for their progress dropped time and time again in that round, right? For Paris, you know, the prospect of simply finishing the map, especially based on how we saw them play very effectively in an aggressive cadence on Colosseo, bodes pretty well. I'd be favoring them at this point. I don't think the Outlaws can match them on this composition, right? They obviously made the choice not to bring the Dun tank in. And they want to, you know, again, this is another team that feels like they're taking a leaf out of Dallas Fuel's book, trying to play this Zarya composition, and maybe the Outlaws just need a few tweaks here. The Eternal seem to have latched onto it pretty naturally.
Yeah, looks like the Outlaws going to play close, just like Paris did. Paris did end up losing a few players early. See if Houston can do a bit better. Is Glister probably just going to poke out here, take a shot, right? Not going to stand this Widowmaker long. So, oh man, for a second there I thought Pelican was...
Well,
that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, sure. Glister, back to the soldier now. Piggy's going to be sent off to Marcus.
Well, maybe Pelican just thought like he still wasn't going to be on the Widow, like he saw me and then called me out and then just went back, but still holding the same ankle. As soon as he turned the corner, it's an easy headshot that Glister able to line up. So just like that, it's even cleaner, right? Because he didn't have anybody drop. So now you're able to, like, look at this position that Paris is pushed up to. Like, they can take the top of the big Earls. Like, this is a huge spot for Con to, like, land a big biotic grenade from this distance. Like, pretty sick position here for Paris.
Yeah, Houston have to fight pretty hard for it. Vistola says, okay, I got what I wanted. Got my charge, force some cooldowns. We'll play the low ground for a time. Oh my! The Helix rocket just collides with Lastro. Vistola did the job getting him low enough, and that's definitely very ungood, to quote Matt Morello for the Outlaws. Vistola wants to surge ahead here, has an extra bubble at 100 charge. Nano for Wub. Oh, this is going badly for Houston. Piggy's done well to get rid of Vistola here. He obviously gets the nano boost himself and has a grab. Can he bring it back here at full charge with a key ultimate in his back pocket?
It wasn't a great start for the Outlaws, but as soon as you get Vistola and Piggy is still alive and has this charge, he is so difficult to get out of these fights. So he will be able to live through that and keep the charge, have this grab for the next fight. So Houston, they battle back, they hold on. Tough position to battle back from, right? Where Paris had control of the top of Big Earls. This Vistola just poking out, trying to get some charge here. So you're looking at 4 ultimates here for the Paris Eternal coming up.
This time, They don't have the initial high ground position that they can force Houston to fight for. And alley-oop goes Piggy. Graviton surge there. Naturally, the sound barrier is going to be applied. Is it enough for Stoller? Down a half. Yes, it's going to get the job done. Paris are able to shrug that initial assault off, but they still need to do something about the positioning. They still play from down here. They still need to find a way to wrap this corner.
Look at Glisser. He's going to go around that on that flank, potentially. No, that's going to be the attack by from Merit. But you saw Glisser. He was probably, like, if he gets around this corner, he was probably going to use his own visor.
Oh, he's going for it. All right, there it is. Death Blossom now coming out from both the Reapers. Pelican able to find the one in Glister. Again, his careful planning paying off. Gets himself into that flanking angle. Yes, it takes some time, and yes, there's a risk because sometimes we see the Eternal get ruined in that like 3-4 second window. But he gets there, and there's nothing Houston could do about it.
And a lot of times he doesn't get punished because Soldier is so fast, right? With the buff to damage dealer speed and then just the ability to sprint. Not on the last patch of the beta. This is like the original one. So he's still so fast to be able to get out of harm's way. When you go on these flanks, it's very difficult to punish him, even if you're playing like a Winston.
Graviton surge here for Vistola. Can they follow up on it adequately? Wump's forced out of the action with a biotic grenade. He's not aware of it, apparently. Doesn't realize he was anti-healed. Piggy just burns him down. Wipes him from the face of the map.
So this is a big spot to hold from, just like we talked about with Paris. You get these kills here. You can take this high ground. This Piggy will be close to a grab. This is where you worry a little bit now for Paris, right? You sit here, 2:40 on the clock. You're going to have a beat, but that's really about it for the foreseeable future. So you're going to have to win one of these fights. Just kind of off of nothing, right? Just getting these early first picks. And maybe that's it.
Yeah, you see, Wub pulled out there to follow Pelican. He saw Pelican going into his backline. Piggy's grab is whelming, I think. Not a whole lot to take from that one, and clearly the Eternals still feel like they have a reason to push.
And that might be the kind of door opening they needed. You get that early kill from Wub, although it's traded out. That forces Houston back a little bit. They end up using the graph. It's not great. All you need is a little bit of an opening, and look at this, how far they've gotten the payload.
Can this Tac Visor evict the Eternal from this part of the map? We're about to find out. Sound barrier for Dredro. We said that was the only ultimate they had, but it's a pretty good answer to a tactical visor. And my God, it inoculates the Eternal against potentially losing a fight to the Soldier.
And I like what they did when they had that visor out. They used the sound barrier and they charged Merit down. They knew exactly where he was. They take him out, they get a player advantage, and then look at this. They turn the corner with their own visor and a nano boost. They'll keep the cart moving. Merit just pokes out. I mean, that's going to be annoying.
I feel like Glister looked away and then just got blown up for like a split second. No, Lastro. No.
Lash was a stop contest, and then he just gets stopped. Ready to check. It's honestly, that's a pretty good use of the grab, though. I'm okay with that because they were going to come back off spawn. The Lucio's so slippery. You had just lost your 76. Large source of your damage. I don't hate that there.
It's fine. Lastro sleeping for the time being. Piggy gonna bubble in there.
No. The Outlaws are gonna fight from this position, but if the cart gets around this corner, they're gonna have to hightail it back pretty fast.
Death Blossom here, kind of much about that. Piggy used all of his bubbles, Matt. Yeah, couldn't protect anybody there. Great timing from Wub. Sees that those defensive resources are down and plunges in.
You know, I'm a little bit curious about the Outlaws' defense. Not to kind of take this fight at this first corner here, but to wrap all the way around and try and take it from that lower side, because the cart had already made decent amount of progress, where if it made even a little bit more, it was going to turn that corner, and then you're playing from a horrible position.
Speaking of which, Piggy tries to take that high ground, says, help me. I don't want to have to give this up. No, one bubble's not enough. Graviton Surge comes out from him, and posthumously, he's able to put his team in a pretty powerful spot. Pelican and Merit get rid of the two supports caught in that grab. That almost never works, that desperation throwdown, but Piggy made the correct calculation in the split second before he was sent back to spawn.
Yeah, if he doesn't grab there, they may not even win that fight. They're able to pump in a ton of damage to Vistola and Wub at range. So minute 15, not that much further. The Paris Eternal to push this payload to take a 2-0 lead in the series. So what do you do here if you're... Yeah, what?
I mean, it wasn't that important. This one was going to be close. That's all I'm saying. It's
I think if you're Paris, you're trying to line up whether it's a nano onto Vistola with a grab coming up here on the high ground. Looks like Wub trying to open things up with like a TP, and then you can kind of follow that up. Maybe you're waiting for Glister to get Visor here. You have a few options in terms of what you want to do.
Yeah, maybe nano for Vistola here. Both teams look like they want to back their Zayas up. Pelican with the bubble goes forward. Not enough pressure to get rid of anyone on the side of the Eternal, though. And Khan rotates. He's trying to make sure he can see Vistola at all times. He's about to get a nano. Wipes down, though. Ooh, okay. Paris need to regroup.
Yeah, so you back up now. Be the Paris Eternal, as Vistola is going to have to poke out a little bit, trying to keep some of that charge. And UL both support ults here.
Last fight.
Maybe you use the nano on the Glister here with a TP. That'll be the sound barrier coming out.
Vistola grabs sound barrier from the Houston Outlaws here. This attack visor up for both soldiers right now, but nano has been used by both parties. Here goes Vistola, trying to push forward now, but the tactical visor from a flanking position from Glister is just what the doctor ordered, or perhaps the opposite of that, in fact. And the Paris Eternal force the Outlaws away. They clinch themselves another map in this series, and in the space of a single series, Matthew, they've doubled their map count for the entire season.
Yet they look very strong in this Zarya composition, where, you know, in the past we haven't seen great things from the Paris Eternal, but look like went back and worked on it and look very strong today, where the side of the Outlaws just a few key mistakes, and you know, they're getting surprised today, I feel like, from the Paris Eternal as they're up 2-0.
Yeah, Houston Outlaws' chances at clinching that number 3 spot here in this these kickoff clash qualifiers is not looking good now, let alone winning the series. So stick around, everybody. Let's see if the Outlaws can stay alive or if the Eternal are going to sweep them away. Straight, not very subtly, from the shadows comes Luchador Reaper. Get the Kickoff Clash Legendary skin on sale now through June 25th to 200 lead tokens. And trust me, when you shadow step right in front of someone's face with this skin, they're going to be extremely scared.
They will. I'm surprised that Paris is up 2-0. They look like a completely different team. I think the last time that we casted them, when Vistola was playing the Zarya, they were like, they couldn't get anything going at all. They look much more practiced on it today, and I think you definitely are starting to see the results.
Definitely an excellent leaf to be turning for the Paris Eternal, and like we've sort of talked about, it's a long season. You know, while they may not be featuring over in Dallas, and while they may not be able to show us what they've worked on in a live setting, we're definitely getting it showcased here in a big way, I've got to say. Using Vistola as that sort of key player, the spearhead here. So many nano boosts being committed to that Zarya, Vistola, and Piggy, to be fair. Very good bubble usage, but yeah, it makes for some pretty volatile fights here where a lot of these teams have to sort of hold sound barrier for grabs. It's what happens after the grab gets barriered. That is interesting.
And also kind of talked about it a little bit early on, but a little bit of spice from Pelican early on in the week. Like, you know, if you see that you're Paris, you gotta come in here and play well, right? If the other team thinks you're gonna be a pushover, you gotta practice, like, use that as motivation to come in. I mean, you're competing, right? You know, anytime somebody kind of takes a shot at you like that, you gotta show up, kind of like how Hadi was talking about earlier. So I love the fight that come out of Paris today. See if they can close the deal, though. These are always the toughest maps in these types of scenarios, right? Can you put away a team when you kind of get them on the brink?
You'll notice that Paris are not experimenting anymore with their Wub Genji with the Zarya bubble. They're definitely falling in line with the consensus that Reaper is the best bubble delivery system available to players right now. So
he's so much safer than the Genji, right?
I mean, and again, he has an escape. He has an escape. Genji's escape is conditional.
And when you TP it on the Reaper, you just up here, you have a bubble, right? If that bubble breaks instantly, you have the Wraith form to get away. Opportunity for another bubble as we'll see Pelican go in here, get the bubble straight away. Everybody has to back away. Pelican
trying to get fairly deep here. Says, okay, no, I mean, I'm just going to play the front line for the time being. It looks like they've spotted me out, and Wub lines Pelican up as soon as he comes out of the smoke. Shit, okay, my guy.
It doesn't seem like it's hugely impactful, but Glister is always like taking these crossfires on different angles. Or he's up on like the staircase at that point and like shooting them from the side. There's no way to kind of react. And it's like what you do in like a lot of other shooter games, right? Where you kind of try and set up a crossfire, that you get players stuck in a really terrible spot. That's exactly what they do. Is Houston runs right inside the room. They have a Reaper on the front door. They have a soldier shooting in the back. You can't focus, can't turn your attention to deal with both. So you have to kind of pick one.
Looks like Pelican's deciding to play frontline now. That's such a sharp and obscure angle there for Glister. He is way off in the sticks. And he just puts Piggy off from that position. That's
like the middle of nowhere.
Try to deal with that soldier. You can't chase him. You can't really stun him.
All right,
like randomly sleep him.
If you run down the soldier, they're going to essentially just sprint behind you, follow you, and the soldier's going to sprint and run away. They nanoed here. They nanoed Pelican.
That was the thing that happened. That was the thing that happened. Uncharacteristic there from Iris. But unfortunately, we haven't really had much time to talk about in this matchup, as it's really been about the Reapers and the Zaryas, as per usual. Okay, so here it is. So, so Merit pushes Glister out of position at the very least here, but Pelican's caught in the grab with Piggy, the two most important targets. So the Outlaws split their forces there, and they get punished by a grab.
They are dominating them. And the Outlaws are
final blows. The Outlaws have won.
Yeah, the Outlaws are getting spawn kills here by the Paris Eternal. Paris definitely have brought it today, but Houston has looked lackluster in this type of composition. We'll see Piggy just try and get some charge here at the choke. I mean, they keep kind of, there's really not many options you have, right? I'm like, oh, like they keep kind of going the same way every single time. Like, is there anything else they can put together? But now with a grab, the best. So we got a flank here from Glister, Nano Visor.
Okay, so the bait is good. The Outlaws pop that, try and go for it. Piggy's going to have the grab on Pistola, who is just chilling for the most part. One comes in, throws his damage onto the stack mat.
The timing there is so unfortunate for Houston. They end up using the grab at the same time that the Nano Visor comes out, and it's coming out on the flank on the side. So they don't even have enough, they don't even put damage down into that grab, really, because they have Glister kind of flanking from the side. They kind of get it towards the end, but it's not enough to finish anybody off. So another Nano here, so Nano Visor available here for the Outlaws potentially. They Nano Pelican on the way in.
Okay, one object Pelican able to batter the door down with that Death Blossom, and getting rid of Pistola is definitely key.
They did lose Merit, and Merit did have Attack Visor, so I think Paris could still fight this. You're going to wait for Pistola to come back, potentially.
Yeah, no one's taxiing Azaya in either. Dridro's making sure he stays with his team, and that ends up being his undoing here, Matthew.
Yeah. And not able to keep up so you'll end up giving it up there if you're the Paris Eternal, but still pretty good defense. Has to come in overtime.
All right, 2:35.
This feels a lot like Route 66 this far, by the way.
Yeah,
where really they kind of get it at the end, yeah.
I feel like they dragged themselves over 5 miles of broken glass just to be told they took a wrong left turn at Albuquerque. And now in the wrong place. Just a real struggle to unfortunately fall short. Frustrating, to be sure, Matthew. And again, we've often used, okay, how does the Zaya team get past this sort of low ground disadvantage? You see them just group up and sort of push through the castle, right? It's still got to be that grab-based team fight win condition.
Con with so much trust for Dridro to knock the Reaper out of the way. Here comes Glister on the hunt here, using the Nano Visor. Trying to find just another player to take out. He'll deal with Piggy. Oh. Nice tracking.
Oh my! Yeah, that's
now. I mean, now he's starting to look like the Glister we kind of seen in the past. We know how talented he is as a player. So, touch the spawn challenge going on now.
The good news for Paris, Matt, is that they will have probably a beat to answer the grab. They have a grab of their own here, right? Questionable, yes. Effective, somewhat. It's a trade in the end. They lose one, but Houston have lost Lastro, so they can't really turn up the volume here.
Can't say I'm in love with that play, but they trade, and maybe now you force Houston to use some of these ultimates just to get out of their spawn.
Would you go on a second date with that play? That's the real question.
Probably not.
Okay, right.
They do end up getting another support though, so that's going to be both supports down. You have Houston, they had to end up using their grab here. So worst case, what you kind of got essentially this, right? The Outlaws had to expend that big grab to get out of that position. You ended up having to use some key ultimates of your own though. You probably would have liked to, I think maybe with that grab, they thought that they were going to be able to force out the sound barrier, and Lastro just decided to hold on to it and die.
35 seconds though. The Outlaws have so many ultimates to use here. It's actually insane. I don't know if the Eternal Mind is taking an L here and trying to regroup. They're going to be walking into a ton of stuff.
Yeah, did they die early enough to come back and fight this again?
With Lucio? No. Doesn't look like it, Matthew. Okay, Dridro just gets, but I mean, they lose Wipe there. They need Wipe just wait a little longer. They forced a solitary, singular ultimate out of the Outlaws. So Houston maintains so much of that economy heading into this crucial last phase.
Yeah, and these fights where the Paris Eternal are trying to get some of these ultimates out, they're not getting them. The sound barrier is still available for Lastro here. Some of these fights look pretty bad. The positions, Paris Eternal, they played great on that first checkpoint. Their checkpoint B defense is not great. Let's see if they can hold up here at the end.
Same corner play for one, but he has to commit now because there's going to be a tactical visor off in the fringes from Merit. And it's just as well that he did. The tac visor finds nothing because the Outlaws are in full-scale retreat while Merit is trying to go forward. They're out of sync. They're running out of time.
And this is where you want to play. The Outlaws are going to be forced to potentially end up using their sound barrier, just like how we talked about on Route 66, right? Where you don't have a shield tank to kind of get through that long alleyway. They're going to have to wrap through the castle like you're seeing here. And you're going to have a visor you can play a little bit further at range here if you're the Eternal.
35 on the clock once again. Houston always finding themselves under the Damocles sword off the clock. Good to have the tack from the back line available. Iris, though, close to that nano here. It's going to be the grab that's big from both sides. Para strike first, sound barrier responding for the Outlaws, but one's already managed to find his way towards Lastro. But the Outlaws have the later grab, and they have the extra kills. Nice looks there for Merit and Piggy, and they break through the Outlaws now with one more fight to get the map done. It's scrappy, but it'll do.
Yeah, not pretty, but they're continuing to push this payload towards the end of the map as Iris will have that nano, maybe onto Piggy or Pelican. It's going to be a visor here from the side from Glister. It's just going to like basically zone some players out.
Yeah, that's perfect. Force. I mean, Iris and Astro had to go. They had to get to the card, so they need to brave some of that damage for a time. But Pelican finds 3. He found 2 kick kills on the card, and now Sound Barrier has to be used just for the supports. Khan, though, douses them in the bite of grenade. The follow-up, though, is just not enough of it. And in overtime, the Outlaws say, hey, it's always Houstonable.
Point A defense for Paris, good. Everything else, not great. Not able to force out some of those ultimates from Houston. Kind of good discipline from the Outlaws to be able to hold on to some of those, but no, Paris played as consistently like throughout the map as they did on that first point. Like they probably would have, held them about like halfway through B, right? With how good they were there on that first checkpoint, but
it's like a
not able to do so.
Spawn camp from Paris,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's a huge bounce back here from the Outlaws, but it's a lot like what we said on Route 66, and the Paris Internal were able to take that.
Paris, again, they at least walk into the second half aware of their objective, their win conditions, so there's no uncertainty about it. They need to be pretty, they need to be pretty efficient and making their way through point A. Think back to Route 66 as it's the closest analog in this series that we have. Or, in fact, think back a little less far for now. This is the late Piggy grab.
That's nice.
I, for one, enjoy particle effects injected into my retinas. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't mind. Both teams, I think, are just going to keep playing this comp. Compositionally, nothing new to talk about. Don't think you're going to see anybody veer off this probably for the whole series, because it seems like the Outlaws are working on it a little bit. The Paris Eternal have worked on it, looking good at it currently, so.
Nerd.
Nade over the top.
I like that. Yeah. No connection, dot.
It's just they were significantly past the point to which it landed.
Yeah, that Lucio, it's fair. The timing may be harder to figure out. Stick that one in the playbook though. Prospective Arnamains.
Really great form used there by Wub, because he takes a ton of damage and has a biotic grenade he gets hit by. So gonna just delay this push coming in Paris just a bit.
Good discipline for the Outlaws there. You could make an argument for chasing Pistola there. He needs to wait a while for that shield to regenerate, because he's not getting any healing press. I mean, it's all for Wub. There's a bio. Top him up in the meantime. Try and tide him over a little bit. He's full charge and ready to rumble here, so they need to focus him down. They do. The Outlaws realize, okay, the Zarya mat, it's now a threat. Now we need to turn on Pistola and just pop him.
Yeah, good defense here from the Outlaws. Pretty similar to the Paris Eternal. Paris had to just kind of try and brute, the Outlaws had to brute force their way in through that choke and kind of go into this room here on this left-hand side. Paris has to try the same thing on their offense, and just like how the Outlaws, they were able to stop it. So see if Paris tries anything a little bit different. It looks so much similar to kind of the rush comps we've seen in the past, right, Mitch? Where like you saw the Outlaws there just running so fast as there'll be a grab. Everybody drops here, so the Outlaws get another easy fight win. But yeah, you see these teams just speed into each other. The bubbles kind of going out on the Reapers, putting down damage, and it's very brawly.
It's a small thing, but Pistola is not really getting any charge until like the 5 seconds before he gets eliminated. So his ult charge is coming way slower than Piggy's. Means the Outlaws have another fight before Grab's going to be a factor. Let's see if they can win as a result of that. Pelican, he's on the way out. He passes 2 ships in the night. There is one also makes a hasty exit. Pelican trying to play around the clock tower, but Pistola doesn't need Grab to be effective, Matt.
And Paris goes all in on that. They end up using their nano onto Pistola. He's going to build up some more charge towards this grab, but they also end up trying to run down a player, and they get it, and I believe it was Iris, while using that sound barrier in speed boost. So they kind of felt they had an advantage there. They had to dump some ultimates into that to take that first checkpoint. and come out on top.
Having the grab available here for Paris is a big deal. Once the Outlaws drop and decide to commit, that's when Vistola can snarl them up and punish them. See if the Outlaws are playing around that. They have to be. They have to know no grab yet means that we're at great risk of stumbling into it in this next fight. Pelican hoping to isolate and remove Glister, but the man is quick on his feet.
So, good car progress here for the Paris Eternal. The Outlaws have to decide what they want to do. Is Flash Charge drops here, so trying to get everybody across, try and fight on the high ground.
There it is. Move to the high ground, play to grab. Body Grenade's going to hit Vistola though, but the damage is well and truly already done. Can Attack Visor save the Outlaws here? One makes himself invulnerable to that kind of damage, and Merritt has to take his toys and go home.
Yeah, it's going to be the Outlaws bailing on this one. It's Paris. Nice play using that grab. You see whenever the grab comes down from Paris, Vistola like jumps in and uses his bubbles, tries to separate players inside of the grab. So they're going to hit the high ground again here, the Outlaws, but really fast drop down here from Pelican.
Okay, Death Blossom and Tax Visor coming out for the Paris Eternal here to break through that sound barrier. It's a brute force answer, to be sure, but it's an answer all the same. Pelican's out of here now, and the Eternal are going to stay on the move. 2 minutes 27 here, so making pretty good time.
Yeah, they do let Pelican just like assassinate Glister though. So
and he's still there.
Pelican's still alive, yeah.
What can he do? I don't know if he has the cooldown. TP's high, drops down. Oh, the bubble's there. Okay, there's a legitimate hold here.
Yeah, they have the grab as well. It's going to be a little bit from downtown. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised they, like, because we saw from Wub's POV, kind of fired off where Pelican was. Pelican then goes and kills Glister, but they didn't double back and really worry about the Reaper, who was so low at that time. They actually just leave him, because maybe they think they have enough
what do they think
distance.
He's going to do?
Well, maybe they just think they have enough different distance to, like, actually just complete it before he actually could get there and touch, but...
Definitely doesn't work out
high ground again, yeah. Oh, definitely not.
Mano here for Iris. Outlaws have a good amount to work with here. The Eternal make a big stumble in that previous fight, allowing that hold to take place. Glister likes the high ground advantage here, of course. Death Blossom from Pelican. They really take the initiative here to the Outlaws, and I mean, if the Eternal can't do much here, Wub couldn't even get into Wraith form, and Pelican is still hungry.
Nope, sound barrier used by Dridro, but doesn't matter. It's Pelican with the nano boost, and Death Blossom comes in, takes out one player, and Paris has to back up. So Paris, now you're working with nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Under a minute to go. Attack Visor, they have the high ground as the Outlaws trying to get their first map win of the series. Looking quite good right now.
Yeah. It is good for them. Merritt, obviously with the high ground positioning, able to make this tactical visor connect. He's a little bit worried though. Glister was up there behind him, and Glister's getting close to the Soldier 76 ult off his own. Merritt is buying time here to heal up, and now he'll try and work Vistola down. The healing is forthcoming. Merritt can still stand his ground. As to the rest of the Outlaws now, it's one more fight for the Eternal to try and end the series here.
And right there just shows you how difficult it is to chase the Soldier 76, as with some healing at range. Iris not able to take out Merritt, so TP coming in here from Wub. Who is going to touch? It looks like Wub's going to be the one that get there, yeah.
Using Wraith Walk for that though, and he has nowhere to hide really. Graviton search to the high ground though. Wub's able to find Merritt. Okay, he doubles back and gets rid of him here. Where are the Outlaws? They're stuck on the high ground now. They have to send Pelican in, but the sound barrier is going to mean that he can solo this for a little bit longer. Attack Visor for Glister, but he's going to get caught up inside the Graviton surge, and from the high ground, it's a big bionic grenade. Pelican gladly follows up, and Wub desperately tries to shift things in the Eternals' favor with the Outlaws. They've already won the map. Staying alive in this series, starting to put some pressure back on Paris.
Houston's late game offense bails them out there, as their point A offense not great, but able to take point B and complete the map with relative ease. And it ends up hurting to bite the Paris Eternal this time. Didn't hurt them on Route 66, but lost the map because of it here.
Yeah, really volatile play. There's something a little reminiscent of GOATs in terms of how we often see those same ultimates in these fights, and it really comes down to execution. The Outlaws edge out the Eternal to stay in this series. They're still eyeing off a good placing heading into the kickoff clash. Don't go too far, everybody. This series seems like it might just be heating up.
Please don't let me in.
Please don't let me into my zone. I just need some time of my own. All these people trying to get a conversation. You can conversate to that tone. My gut eyes on that throne, yeah. So I'm never alone, yeah. All these people trying to box me in. I'm at my weather, it's on, yeah. Now they ask where I'm at. Making hits that line back. I'm MJ, I'm 2-3, man. I just need some time back. I'm zoned in like defense. My life gone, no recess. But I live my best one, so I got no regrets. So gone, I'm gone. Funny my home. I'm working like so much, they swear I had me a clone. Can't answer my phone now, just leave it there, that tone. Ballin', can't beat me up, cause I'm back in my zone now.
After 3 maps in this barn burner of a series between Houston and Paris, yes, I said it, I know. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it and you'll understand why. We've seen the teams play the same lineups, the same compositions. That's going to change, though, in map number 4 here, where the Eternal look to try and end the series, or the Outlaws try and say, hey, we're going to reverse sweep.
Yeah, it looks like we do have some subs coming in for this next game. Just waiting for players to just kind of get ready, get in their seats. But yeah, you'll see that Dante is in for the Outlaws, and then Don will come in for the Paris Eternal. So both teams running Zarya comps most of the day, really all of today. And it looks like now is the time for the next map, which I believe is Oasis, which it'll go away.
Right, and you know, maybe that informs the decision here to make substitutions at tank for both of these teams. Dan, we've seen him come in maybe more recently, obviously, and show us that Winston play. It's been really impressive. Dante, though, don't expect to see that from him. I mean, I think Dante has almost entirely been showing us the Doomfist.
And I think when you see Don coming in, and you're the Outlaws, and you make the substitution that you do, bringing in Dante in, you feel pretty good about that, right? Because you feel pretty good about playing his Doomfist into some of the Winston-based compositions that the Paris Eternal are going to throw at them here. So, like I mentioned, this next map is Oasis, if needed. New Queen Street waiting there at the end, in which Paris Eternal, they took our first push map. So, Paris, 2 good opportunities here to close the deal.
Yep, they were better than the Outlaws for about 99% of that first map, and that's all they really needed.
And that 1% almost lost them the map, though.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. That was a little too close, maybe, for Paris. If they can lock it up here, Matthew, on Oasis, I'm sure they'll be more than happy with that result. No risks need to be taken here, as Paris are showcasing what looks to be, I guess, the result of their iteration, right, on some different compositions. We're going to see it change here, though, naturally, as we sort of mentioned, seeing Dan hover the Winston, no surprise. Could say the same from Dante here on the Doomfist. That's going to be fun. And maybe Echo for Pelican, right? Definitely a hero he was known for. Really dominated his opponents on the Atlanta Reign at the Echo pick last year.
Yeah, this opens up some different heroes that we haven't seen this series to come out. You know, maybe some Tracer play from either team. So it'll be the Outlaws running the Doomfist-based composition. So you're going to see Paris Eternal stay on the Winston. So what do they combo it with? As Wub will play the Tracer, and you're going to have Merritt play the 76. Kefri
molding as the TPs come out to send these teams a little further forward early. Ah, there it is. Lagoon. Glister taken down by the sticky bombs as Pelican collages him. There you have it. Good start for the Outlaws.
And like I mentioned, the Outlaws they feel totally fine playing this composition into the Winston-based stuff of the Paris Eternal. And if Wub can't come up with these kills and really pressure out Pelican, it's going to make it very difficult for Glister to win those one-on-ones.
Yeah, that burst potential is huge, especially against the Winston if you can get it with the bombs. Yeah, force that bubble here. Homie's heading for the kills. You see one there. Obviously the Tracer play here. Usually a concession to the Doom and Echo look here. Doesn't seem to be bothering the Outlaws too much right now, as Pelican's just trying to stay out of line of sight of the Soldier. Very fluid from this guy. He tries to predict Khan strafing to the left. He doesn't. In fact, but Dan's been taken down. The Eternal look a little more wayward here, Matthew.
They're just so on the back foot. The Outlaws are just dictating the pace of play this entire round. And if you're Khan, right, you're trying to deal with, you have Pelican flying to your left, you have a Doomfist threat to your right, you know, there's a 76 up above shooting down. It's very difficult, and it's easy to just kind of, I know your feet just kind of become like cement, right? You're just kind of like stuck in place if you're the Paris Eternal, right? Like we've seen them just kind of take these positions that you can see through their x-rays now the entire time. Just not able to get in and make a real play. Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose Glister here at the start. Probably not going to happen here.
I mean, that's a solo endeavor from Dante, man. The fact that he's able to do that while Dan can only really create some space and facilitate one to get in, it's a huge difference maker. That solo kill potential that, you know, charging up that power block can give you as Doomfist, a big advantage. The Outlaws are looking to leverage that extra duelist in their composition.
5 ults here for the Outlaws. Like, you've won these fights without even investing anything for Houston.
Yep. More check marks and a political discussion on Twitter, Matthew.
If Paris, you may not even get a sound barrier, you may not even get your primal rage.
Sound barrier here, Dridro's going to have his, but not in
You may not even
time.
get the point, yeah.
Paris, unfortunately, they missed their flight. So let's see.
Dante, obviously very effective there in that first round here on Oasis. This is such a difficult spot to put any player in, especially a player like Dante, one of the larger fan bases, right? Just personal one in the Outlaws. You're down in a series. You haven't played at all in the series, right? To just kind of grab him off the bench, playing a role that he doesn't typically play. He's been playing it now, the Kickoff Clash, the Doomfist, but it's not like he's a tank player by heart. So, difficult situation to get pushed into. So that'll be the Outlaws calling for a pause. As looks like Pelican has left the game. Pelican called for a pause and then left. So, see what happens.
Yeah, it might just be a reconnect there from Pelican, but
yeah,
we have a chance to discuss a little bit of a different look here in this series than what we're getting for most of it. Now, we kind of thought, and we sort of talked about this, that the Tracer inclusion, for these Winston-based comps was ideally supposed to play around the Doomfist, play around the Echo, right? Make it a little bit harder to lock down, one of your DPS, and also allow you to basically evade Doomfist ad nauseum. Didn't work out there for the Paris Eternal, though. It looks like they weren't able to get Wub in positions to have success. He has like one final blow, I think, for that sort of round. In fairness, the whole of Eternal only got 2. But that definitely didn't seem to work out too well. Looks like the Outlaws are dealing with this. It's not a counter composition, but it's definitely the comp that a lot of people have switched to try and deal with Doom Echo. They're handling it really well.
Yeah, and I didn't think that the Outlaws were going to have trouble dealing with this from the Paris Eternal, because this is not the best look that we've seen from the Paris Eternal. We've seen them do this throughout the Kickoff Clash, and I think Don has looked pretty good in the Winston role, but this is not something that's resulted in wins for Paris, these type of playstyle. So I'm not surprised to see when the Outlaws kind of force it on them that Paris ends up struggling. They don't even touch the point there at the end, 100-0. Like, Outlaws didn't even need to use ultimates basically the whole round to do it. I mean, it was like just clean sweep.
The map has definitely played to the better comps for Paris so far, where you think maybe the Houston are favoured in like a Doomfist sort of environment. If we go to New Queen Street, if we get that far, then we probably see the Zayas come back out again. But here's a map where Dunn, is going to keep playing that Winston here. So, yeah, I mean, the Eternals still have the same issues to face.
This tells you how much this Doomfist bothers the Paris Eternal, though, with Glister now going over to Sombra. So having the Sombra Tracer in here with the Winston, trying to hack the Doomfist, finish the Doomfist off, like when he has the power block, or maybe not allowing Dante to get out of harm's way. It just becomes such a nuisance.
Glister eventually able to bring Pelican down. It's a double threat, right? Not only do you punish the Doomfist, but the Echo doesn't like being grounded by that Sombra. Merritt cleans up one comfortably enough here, but Glister's up to his old tricks, and Lastro has nowhere to go. That trademark aggression, landing him in hot water.
Yes, he's the one on the point trying to keep it contested. But this is going to turn rather quickly as Merritt takes out Don. You're going to have 2 more kills coming in for the Outlaws. So Paris, they get control for just maybe 10% here. Yeah, they're going to give it right back.
That's crazy stuff there. Huge sleep dart from Iris. Sets up that gigantic elimination on Glister. Getting rid of that Sombra in that situation for the Outlaws is huge. It was Dante to come in, follow up. This will put the Outlaws back in the lead or give them that comfortable high ground. Keep an eye on Pelican here. He wants to avoid the Sombra while also setting himself up to punish the enemy tank.
So, see how Paris is trying to... Seems like Paris playing a little bit defensive here, Mitch, and trying to have Dante come in, as that'll be the EMP comes through up on the high ground. Not going to get anything with it. So it's going to be a Nano and a Pelican. It seemed like Paris is playing a little bit defensive over here on the staircase, trying to bait somebody in to die, whether it be Pelican, whether it be Dante. Houston didn't fall for it, but Paris starting to battle back. It's a big pulse bomb.
Yeah, Glister had to translocate out there because I think he was, at risk of going down to the focusing beam there. Pelican getting natted in that fight meant he could play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit closer to the ground. The reverse Icarus paradigm. Unfortunately, it's just Dredro he gets before he has to leave. Paris flipped the point during this, so Dante not buying any time necessarily. Attack visor for Merit coming in though as the auxiliary. Not able to be hacked there. Glister had to be interrupted as Merit is going to spray whichever way.
Oh man, even when the Paris Eternal get the point, they're not able to hold it for long. It'll be Dredro falling. It's going to be just another about 20% here gain for the Paris Eternal. Quick kills come in. It's Dante with a meteor strike on a con, and then Merit turns the corner with attack visor, and that's enough to get it done. Don ends up using Primal Rage here to try and get back towards it. Yeah, this is getting all over the place.
Dance hit with the Bionade here as well. The sound barrier is definitely helpful, but it's not going to help him get that base health up. Dante falls. Dredro able to follow up on that hack on the enemy Doomfist, and Iris faces the same fate. Wub and Dan descend at the same time. Two very quick dives that involve two or more players there for the Eternal. Expertly executed, back-to-back within the space of seconds gives them that fight.
Now the Outlaws just need one more fight to go in their favor. You'll have this EMP from Glister, which they're kind of all clumped together. You're going to do a ton of damage. Also give him that damage amp. Should be huge. Potentially fight winning. In the Outlaws, you have the opportunity here to potentially nano Pelican. We just saw them nano Pelican before. Could nano the Doom, is that's what happens. They send the nano Doom up to the high ground. That'll be the EMP. And it looks like it only connects at one.
Yeah, Dredro taken down. Pelican able to get value there, removing Khan in Ana form. Takes another 1v1, and now he can just chill. He can just, there it is, flicks his brush at the canvas and then sells it for $1 million. The contemporary artist that he is. The Houston Outlaws are on the way to a potential reverse sweep, even in the series, forcing an ever-elusive map number 5.
Yeah, and that EMP could have been big there from Glister, but I believe it only connects with Pelican. And then just a second right after, he's able to turn into the Ana on the other side and then picks up that kill. So EMP didn't really result in much there at the end.
Good looks from the Houston Outlaws. They make the Doomfist and Echo composition work for them. The question is, can they do it in the next map? That's a big question mark. The Outlaws may have to return to the Zarya comps. Let's see if they make that decision or not. Don't go anywhere. It all ends after the break. Well, it's all out there now for both of these teams. We know the Outlaws like to go all in, and they're going to have to here with map number 5 rearing its head and the potential of a reverse sweep. Tantalizing as the Outlaws look to try and get a W here when they were looking down in the dumps in the first 2 maps, Matthew.
Yeah, the first 2 maps, they end up running some of the Zarya compositions. They're able to do that in map number 3. The last map, they had Dante in. Clean sweep there on Oasis. They will leave Dante in the game. Most likely you're going to see the Doomfist play there. And Paris, they'll bring Vistola back in. So Vistola has been in everything except control. You'll expect him to play the Zarya going into this. So instead of playing that Zarya head-to-head, the Outlaws opt to now go with the Doomfist against him.
Now we get 2 different styles. Once again on this map, maybe you would have expected them to, Houston to say, hey, let's bring Piggy back in, but I think it's pretty clear where this team's bread is buttered. It's on the Dante side, of course. New Queen Street, we've already seen a push map in this series. It ended up being close, but it sure as heck didn't start that way on Colosseo.
No, it started out all in favor of the Paris Eternal, and the Houston Outlaws almost dragged it back towards the end, where Paris gets off to that hot start. You gotta put those games away. You cannot allow the Outlaws to kind of gain momentum towards the end. And like we talked about in map number 1 with push, we rarely see the map be completed 3 times across both regions this far. So if you get any type of progress, right, 60 meters, 50 meters, like that is such a huge win, because the other team's gonna need like almost 3 fights to beat that time, to beat that kind of distance traveled. So
I mean, it's a nightmare.
These early fights are massive. Huh?
Even with the front spawn to push in overtime, if the enemy team has really gotten far, it's tough.
Well, even with the front spawn, like, it's not exactly closer than the. It's close, but yeah, it's not that front to where the other team is still going to have a spawn advantage with the defensive spawn, right? So Pelican on the Tracer here. So Paris ditches the Reaper, and they'll go with the Giga, which is interesting because Wub's Reaper is looking pretty solid.
It's the buildings climbing in and out of those windows with ease without having to use Wraith Walk, I think is something the eternal value. It does mean that when Wub is in, Matt, he is in.
He will generate a ton of energy, though.
Yeah, Pistola definitely going to get charged.
Stay alive. Yeah.
Houston start with the lead. Now Pistola stepping up to stop the bot in his tracks. Keeping on Merit's health pool. He's seen better days. And he'll be brought back to life.
Interesting, I think you heard from Glister's character. The punch knocks him right into the wall, stuns him for a half second. So that'll be a few kills coming out there from the Outlaws as Pelican on the Tracer, making Commons life very difficult. We actually saw from Glister's POV there, Mitch. When he was on the Soldier and kind of lurking up on the high ground, you saw him actually use one of the call-outs where, like, you can do the countdown.
Yes.
And, like, maybe that's how they're kind of setting this up, right? Where, Glister is able to use that as communication, right, for the rest of the team, that he's going to go into a position now and start to flank.
Maybe we'll see if we get any clear indicator of those coordinated dives from Paris going forward. Frustrating for them there is that they get it's a bit of an even fight, but they don't get any push at all. They see Wub go over the top. He's here with a nano boost, by the way. No blade, so needs to get it done with just his shurikens. And so far he's not finding a whole lot. It's Dante that gets the nano boost here. He won't catch down with his Meteor Strike, but Pistola is already very, very low. Wub gonna eat that Helix rocket as Merit takes the splash explosion, but it's enough for the Outlaws to say, we're good to push again.
And it makes it so difficult on the supports for the Paris Eternal, this Doomfist. Between the Tracer coming after you, the Doomfist as well, causes so many problems that if you're not able to keep them off of these supports, it's going to be hard keeping them alive as Dante goes in, jumps right out. So Biotic Grenade hits Glister, but some big ultimates here for the Paris Eternal that they're going to use to try and turn this.
Yeah, Glister looks like he got bubbled there as well, just to get that bio up and make it impossible for Pelican to dive and sneak a kill while the Outlaws were in the grab. And that's a clean fight. The Outlaws here maybe not inclined to invest any more into this fight. But the Eternal also didn't really have to either. Just the grab to win the fight. I think they're pleased with that.
Yeah, so 40 meters, 42 to be exact, for the Houston Outlaws as the Paris Eternal get the barrier going. You're going to be able to contest it right here, and then probably another fight before Paris would take the lead.
Pelican is entrenched. He sees Glister on the high ground, but thinks twice about engaging after the Helix Rocket comes in. Khan was found by Dante in the back line, and Pelican's going to use the barrier to give Pistola his marching orders. Yeah, bubble wasted. Lastro getting Glister off the edge of the map by the very looks of things, and Pelican's waiting for a top-up. He says, give me some of that heals. The Outlaws, again, ready to push back.
Yes, Glister tries to make a play there with the tack visor, but losing Khan early, another pick by the Doomfist early on here, is huge for the Outlaws as the bottom move back to this barrier rather quickly and get very close to unlocking that first spawn point. Paris did not make that much progress at all. Not even 10 meters there. It's going to be Houston's putting them in a tough spot. As you see the Outlaws, they can back up, they can take this high ground as Paris has to walk into them.
Blade time for Wabi says, I'm going in. Looking for Merit here. Almost deflects that Helix Rocket entirely, and out of nowhere, Lastro must have seen the bat signal, because he swings in, save Merit's life, and then Pelican's going to be with the pulse bomb. The Eternal, oh, it's gone all wrong for them, and they're going to give up even more progress here. This reverse sweep is starting to look more and more possible.
And that's the thing with push. When you get an advantage and a lead here, like the Houston Outlaws, you don't need to fight on the bot. Like in theory, right? That's probably kind of like the thought process, just in terms of like how everybody will play on live or whatnot. But you don't have to fight on the bot. You can back up, wait for a moment where Paris has to push into a bad spot for them, and then fight.
Khan is
the bot will then move really fast back. Oh, nice double punch there.
Yeah, the power block was there for Dante, but there wasn't a lot of follow-up on that high ground. I thought Khan was dead to rights, getting punched off onto the ground, but apparently the Outlaws weren't really ready to catch him as he fell. Here in the aftermath of Dante's departure, is Pelican able to stay on the bot and make it hard for the Eternal to get themselves back into neutral while he returns?
Yes, you're going to have the forward spawn as well here for the Outlaws. Like we mentioned, not that far forward, but I mean, look at this. You still can't get control of the bot.
Dante wants to get his nano as soon as possible. Takes a bit of that damage as he has to. Power block. Wub has to force him away by posturing so aggressively. 2.5 minutes left in the round here. This grab needs to convert to some significant meterage. There's the grab, catches 2. Sound barrier was there, but the grab comes a little bit later in the day. Bionic grenade comes sailing on in, and Khan's able to secure the kill on Dante after Lastro has his healing cut off. The Vestiges of the Outlaws want to stall here.
Well, the Paris Eternal are at a disadvantage. It's a 3v2. And even with that grab, it's just that positioning. Like, Merit is able to play on the high ground as a 76, go crazy. That the damage that he puts down, Pelican's finishing these kills off. It's all about where you can get the bot here and then force these fights. Eurus sitting over on the side. It's like, was he playing for something here?
Maybe a flanking bio.
Yeah, I think maybe the flanking bio grenade. I think they got onto the bot.
Okay, Doom in. What's Dante looking for here? Big old doorway. The natural enemy of Doomfist. To the high ground. Oh my, this is filthy. Glister forced to run away now. Sleep Dart has to come in on Dante. He creates a hell of a ruckus up on that high ground. That opens up Lastro for finishing off Wub. Glister got nanoed and what?
But look at all they needed to use here, Paris. And then they just get control of the bot now. And oh, by the way, Pelican's dancing all over it. Pelican picks up Pistola. Eurus takes up Dridro.
Pelican pulse. No, don't need it. Dante's already back in the fight.
Right back into the fight.
I mean, Pistola was so low. It looked like Pelican could legitimately have 1v2'd in that scenario. He didn't have to, fortunately, as reinforcements from that front spawn came pretty quickly. Paris are in so much trouble, Matt. They got a lot of push to make happen if they can. I think Pelican's trying to spot Khan. Doesn't have to, though, is the main source of damage here. And range has been removed for the Paris Eternal, and now they're getting absolutely rolled.
Yes, the robot marching towards the Paris Eternal spawn. So, what are you going to have here? Pulse Bomb. So Merit takes out Wub towards the end there. You can see he's getting close towards the Death Blossom. You know, 19 seconds on the clock. Even if you lose this fight, if you're the Outlaws, Paris needs to run pretty much the entire length of the map.
They came out of the red corner, Paris Eternals, swinging for the fence with those first 2 maps under their belt. But since then, those energy reserves have dipped dangerously low. Now it's time to throw caution to the wind and try and desperately bring this map back. The odds, they don't favor them at all. Paris will have the bot for now, but we are in overtime. All Houston need to do is get them off.
Yes, Lastro comes flying over the top, trying to knock somebody out of the way. Not going to do that. So how does this happen for the Paris Eternal? Now, the Outlaws almost ran it back against Paris, right? Maybe Paris, with the game on the line here, can make magic happen.
We've seen it happen, just not very often. Here's the sound barrier now. Dante got a nanoboost while he was sleeping to keep him alive, and Wub is able to reach far forward enough to get rid of Iris. Now it's just Lastro. He actually beats. He commits the beat to this fight. Merit's taking down Khan, so now it's even Stevens. And from the high ground, the tactical visor absolutely dominates. Vistola is down, and Merit finds a second before he eventually has to succumb, and it's Street Draw and Glister trying to keep the dream alive. Lastro to the skybox, and Dream Draw actually able to stay alive for the time being. Now the 1v1 of Traces. Glister, does he have that recall? There's a pulse bomb available here for Pelican, and reinforcements are on the way. Glister just needs to hold on a little longer. There's the recall, and it buys enough time, but Vistola reads a pulse bomb immediately, and Glister can't get there. Pelican holds his ground, backhands the Doomfist, and complete the reverse sweep. A devastating end here to the Kickoff Clash qualifiers for the Paris Eternal. They come up winless, they come so close against the team who's already qualified, and they fall short of the last hurdle.
Oh, dude, and at the end there, we got an awesome 1v1. Pelican going up against Glister, right? And Glister able to stay alive long enough. He kills Lastro, then he's in the 1v1, and I think he actually just ran to go get like a health pack or something. Once Vistola jumped on it, because Vistola had the power block, you expect the Doom to last a while.
Nope.
Pelican with a beautiful pulse bomb lands right on it. Nobody able to get back towards the bot. It's a sick play there from Pelican to close it out.
Look, good looks from the Houston Outlaws here, Matt, but the series didn't start that way. And heading into an incredibly important tournament, this Outlaws roster probably has to realize, hey, our Zarya comp may not be up to scratch. Now, they are going up against the Paris Eternal, who look comfortable with that look, so Houston might be able to bust Piggy out with the Zarya and look very good against the whole field of teams that they're playing at the Kickoff Clash. But it's more likely that they're going to have a middling performance if they just walk that comp straight in. So we might see this team have to make an executive decision, depending on how much time they have left, to just double down and commit to the Doomfist look as much as they possibly can, as far as the map pool allows.
Right, and we don't even really know how good Paris is at that Zarya comp, because this is the first time we've seen them play it well. The last times we've seen it has not been good, so definitely much improved with the Paris Eternal today. They take it to a Game 5 here against the Houston Outlaws, but I agree. I think the Outlaws, between now and when they leave for the Kickoff Clash, have to decide kind of how they're going to go at that event. Do they try and run some more Zarya comps? Is there time to work out some of the kinks between now and then, or commit to the Doom?
Let's talk about our player of the match here. Someone who, even in losing maps for the Houston Outlaws, was able to have a very outsized impact and still look very good. It's going to have to be Pelican, Matt. Again, he really had to put his nose to the grindstone and play this like Reaper Zarya mirror. And it's very tough. It seemed like it was a very high variance style for both these teams to play. The fact that they obviously able to, with the help of Piggy, get that win in map number 3 and start to turn the tide is huge. He's very efficient in this position. And the Echo, chef's kiss, looked absolutely perfect, and Paris had no answer for it. None.
No, the Echo was great on Oasis. Also, the Tracer here at the end was a huge difference maker on New Queen Street. And his Reaper, a lot of the time, the Reaper was one of the best kind of characters they had for the Outlaws in their composition. The Zarya comp, it's where he was like probably the most effective person they had. So really good game out at Pelican today. You're going to need him to play at this type of level if the Outlaws want to go where they think they can go with this roster.
I think you're exactly right. Merit has been extremely consistent, right, and really been the rock for this team. But it's Pelican who has to get them to those high highs. He's the one that needs to propel them, especially when they're going to go up against other top teams with other superstar players. Pelican has remained an absolute mainstay of top players in the Overwatch League so far, and that is going to have to continue as the young superstar finds himself more and more challenging opponents in the coming weeks. Incredible stuff for the Houston Outlaws to make a reverse sweep of it. We got a really great game with some very compelling composition matchups. Love to see that kind of stuff, but don't go too far, because we're gonna have an interview. We're gonna break down that match, and we've got one more game for you all today. So stick around, everybody. This is the Overwatch League. We'll be back with our final match of the day in a few moments.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. We're here joined now by Merit from Houston Outlaws. Merit, congratulations on the win. Is this the first reverse sweep for the Houston Outlaws? I'm thinking. 메리트 선수 일단 승리 너무 축하드리면서 이번 역수입이 휴스턴 팀의 첫 번째 역수입이 맞나요?
네, 저희 팀에선 처음 맞아요.
Alright, Merit does confirm that it is their first reverse sweep. So yeah, big congratulations on getting the win and the first reverse sweep. Now, reverse sweep means you guys almost lost the match, but at the end you guys were able to come back and take the win for the series. How'd you guys get it done? 자, 첫 번째 질문, 역수입을 하셔서 오늘 승리를 거두셨습니다. 어떻게 해서 오늘 역수입까지 가게 됐고 또 어떻게 해서 승리를 거두시게 되셨나요?
일단은 처음에 거의 맞조합 같은 조합으로 같이 미러전을 했었는데 저희가 플레이 부분적으로 좀 살짝 잘못되게 플레이를 했어서 그에 대해 피드백을 해서 이제 3세트부터 이제 좋은 결과를 낼 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Alright, starting off the match, we were sort of in this mirror composition matchup, and I think our plays, there were some mistakes, and our plays weren't that clean. We had a lot of faults, I guess I could say. After that, after moving into second map and moving into map 3, we had a lot of feedback. We were communicating. We were able to correct those mistakes, and then going into map 3, we were able to go forward with it, and that's how we got the reverse sweep. All right, I want to talk to you about the kickoff clash, and I think one thing that's really interesting for the Houston Outlaws is you guys are one of the few teams that really doesn't use the Winston dive composition at all. You guys mainly use either the Doomfist or the Zarya composition. Do you ever feel like you guys are sort of at a disadvantage because of that? Because you guys mainly stay on those two compositions only. 두 번째 질문은 이제 좀 조합에 대해서 제가 좀 여쭤보고 싶어요. 이제 아무래도 킥오프 클래시 토너먼트에 들어가게 되면서 휴스턴 팀이 어떻게 보면은 몇 안 되는 팀들 중에 그 윈스턴 다이브 조합을 아예 기용을 하지 않고 이제 다른 두 조합만 좀 메인으로 쓰는 팀이기 때문에 좀 그런 게 좀 어떻게 보면 좀 불리한 상황에 휴스턴 팀을 좀 놓은다고 생각을 하시나요?
그렇게 막 불리하다고 생각하진 않습니다.
이유가 있다면?
충분히 저희가 뭐 자리하는 둠피든 잘하는 조합이 있기 때문에 무조건 윈스턴 조합을 이길 수 있다고 생각을 해서 그렇게 생각했습니다.
Okay. I don't really think that we are at a disadvantage, mainly because we do have really strong two compositions that we run, the Zarya and the Doofus composition. Not only that, we're pretty confident in if a team comes out with the Winston dive composition, we're pretty confident that we could beat that team with utilizing the Winston as well. All right, Merit, that is it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you in Dallas. 자, 이걸로 인터뷰 마치겠고요. 메리트 선수, 달라스에서 뵙도록 하겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
안녕.
Oh, that was a close call there with the wave. You almost didn't get it back.
Yeah, almost. It was close.
Also, whenever you say "see you in Dallas," it sounds like a threat.
What? What is that? Yeah,
See you in Dallas.
see you in
See you in Dallas.
Really?
I see you on LAN. Right? That's what I'm
I
hearing.
thought I was being really sweet and nice.
I didn't come across like that.
I didn't come up. Okay.
Very threatening. Actually.
Maybe I'll up my tone a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll see you in Dallas.
I'll
see you in Dallas.
And that's just scary, and that's okay. Speaking of scary, Reinforce.
What?
He's pretty intimidating because he's. You know what I mean? That's why we put you in a box, because it's scary when you're out there.
What? Stuck in an analysis cage? Is that where I am now?
Separate box.
Unbelievable.
I love the tone of that, actually. Well, and since you are in that little cage, go ahead. Analyze the match for us. I do want to hear your thoughts here, though, on how sold you are on that Houston Outlaw squad, on that Zarya composition. I mean, we pretty much established now that, yeah, they look great when they can make Doom work. How did we feel about the Piggy Zarya comps today?
Yeah, I mean, I said they were a dark horse for a reason. Dark horses are supposed to be the good teams, right? So they're punching, upwards, so to speak, on the Zarya composition. I want to give Paris Eternal some credit. They came back after a rough couple of weeks to start off the season, and actually looked pretty good on the Sarah composition. Now, this is a team that I believe in when it comes to strategical adaptation and figuring out some of these compositions. Historically, Paris Eternal, they have been able to figure out a lot of these different types of brawl comps, different types of compositions, whether it's brawl or dive, wrecking ball, far out, like you name it. Paris Eternal, they usually can get there when it comes to playing a composition at a respectable level, and I think they showed up today and proved that they can adapt and play the Sora composition as good as some of the other like average teams around the league. So they're not necessarily a poor team in that regard. Houston Outlaws, of course, they struggled with this at the beginning of this series, and I think it was kind of expected, I suppose. Maybe I'm being too harsh here, but this is a team that has predominantly been playing a lot of Doomfist to start the season. So in many ways, they're on equal terms with the Paris Eternal. They, of course, had to pick up the star composition kind of recently, and so they need some time to get used to it and figure out the win conditions, how are we going to play around it, etc. They proved here on Oasis, they proved on New Queen Street that they are really good when it comes to the Doomfist, and it's something they can lean back on if required. But overall, their Zarya composition needs to be polished up a little bit going into the Kickoff clash, but for